are their values cannot be changed, and data objects of type, say, list, start with important concept which is known as data types and constants. So we will discuss what are the data types which are available in Python, and simultaneously we will also discuss the constants of that type. So the data type is very important concept which determines the value that data object can have and the operations that the objects support. So data type determines the type of operations that I can apply on data object, and it does not only determine the data value that it can have, it also determines what is the mutability of that object. We have already discussed some of the data types, they are mutable, and some of the objects of some of the data types, they are immutable. So broadly, data types in Python, they are categorized into 4 categories: numeric types, sequences, set types, and mappings. And apart from these, if you can mute all, I'm getting disturbance. Okay, so there are majorly 4 data types in Python, which is numeric types, sequences, set types, and mappings. Apart from these 4, there are other types which are known as callable types, like functions and classes. They are also one of the types. So they are callable types. We will discuss that later. Today we will focus on 4 different types: numeric types, sequences, set types, and mappings. And we will simultaneously look at their literal constants. So numeric types in Python 3.x, that means in Python 3, there are 3 numeric types available, which is integers, floating point numbers, and complex numbers. In Python 2, there were 4 numeric types: integers, long integers, floating point numbers, and complex numbers. But in Python 3, long integers is not there. Integers by default, they are considered as long. So that is one of the important difference between Python 2 and Python 3 regarding the numeric types. Long is deprecated in Python 3, but that is merged with integers now. So in Python 3, we have 3 numeric types only: integers, floating point numbers, and complex numbers. Integer numbers, as you know, they are without decimal points, like 1, 21, -8, they are all integers. And Python integers are implemented as long, and they are of arbitrary size. Okay, so in Python you are not going to face any overflow issue like you have faced in programming languages like C and Java. So this is Google a value which is 10 raised to power 100, a very big value. So if I execute this cell code, so to A I have assigned 10 raised to power 100, and then I am printing the value of A, printing the value of data object A, and I am also printing what is the type of A. So the functions that I have used here is print and type. Dr. Aman, I am getting disturbance from Corona. So if you can look at someone who is logged in as Corona, and if you can mute or disable. So we have a value which is 10 raised to power 100. We are printing it. I am executing this cell code by printing shift enter. So you can see what is the value. This is 10 raised to power, a very big value, but we are able to execute it in Python without any overflow issue. In other languages, we would have got overflow. So integers, they are implemented as long integers, arbitrary size. It is restricted by the size of the complete memory. And if you can look at the class, so class of this is integer. So this is of integer type. Now look at what are the important points that we must remember while writing integer literal constants. Hello. So by word literal, we mean the absolute we mean the absolute value.
मीटिंग का
Okay.
मीटिंग का
Literal is the absolute.
कोरोना गए ना
So meeting. So the literal is the absolute value.
हाँ जी
So these are the following rules we must follow while writing the literal constants. Integer literal constant must have at least one digit. So if you have to write, at least one digit is required. Literal constant cannot have any decimal number. It can be either positive or negative, but if you don't write any sign, it is assumed to be positive. In Python 2, you can suffix your literal with letter L or capital L, but in Python 3 it is not allowed, as long literals they are deprecated. So in Python 3 you cannot write 23L, but if you are using Python version 2 you will be able to write 23L, which means long integer. You can write the integer literal constant in other number systems, like in hexadecimal number systems. So if you have to write a hexadecimal integer literal constant, you have to prefix it with 0x or 0 capital X. And if you are writing it in hexadecimal number, then the letters A to F or A to capital F would also be allowed to you. In Python 2, if you want to write number in octal number system, you have to write it with 0, prefix it with 0. But in Python 3, it has been modified. If you want to write octal number, you have to prefix the number with 0 O, which can be capital O or lowercase o. And you cannot use any digit more than 7, because as you know, in octal number system, the digits from 0 to 7 they are allowed. In binary number system, you can also write a literal constant, and binary number is not available in other programming languages like C. So this is a new addition in Python. You can write a number in binary by prefixing it with 0b. So this is a binary number. And very important thing that has been allowed in Python 3.6 is the use of underscores in numeric literals. And the underscore in numeric literal is used as a separator. So if you want to use separator, that means if you want to conveniently read numbers, so like in our daily routine we put commas. So if I put 10,000, so in daily routine we write it as 10 comma 10,000. So in Python, if you want separator to be written, so you can also be able to write it as 10 underscore 3 zeros. So this underscore act as a separator just for the reading purpose, have no other significance. So these are the rules that all of you must remember while writing the integer literal constant. So I'll focus on these. So A is 0x23. As I already told you, if you prefix a number with 0x, that means hexadecimal. So 23 is written in hexadecimal, but internally when the data object will be created, the value that will be stored is the binary value. And when you will be printing it, it will be printed in the decimal number. So if I execute it, so this is printed as 35, which is a decimal value. So if you convert 23 into decimal, so as you know, if 23 is in hexadecimal, so if I want to convert it in decimal, so I have to convert it with 16 raised to the power 1 and 16 raised to the power 0. So 2 into 16 plus 3 into 1, that comes out to be 32 plus 3, that comes out to be 35. So the decimal value is 35. So 35 is printed and it is of integer type. It is of integer type, although it is of hexadecimal nature. The base is 16. Similarly, I told you that if you want to prefix, if prefixed with 0, 0, 0, O, then it becomes octal. So this is 23 in octal, which is equivalent to 2 into 8 plus 3, which is 16 plus 3, 19 in decimal. So if I execute this, so this is 19, the class is decimal. So similarly, 0b is binary. So this is a binary number. This is binary number. So the value is 2 raised to power 2, that is 1 into 4 plus 1 into 2 plus 1, and that is 7. So if you execute it, so this would be 7, and that is class int. And underscores, they are also allowed. So this is a new addition which came in 3.6, version 3.6. Prior to that, that is not allowed. So this is equivalent to 10,000. This is equivalent to writing 10,000. Only for the convenience of reading, underscore is allowed, but interpretation wise, it has no other meaning. Similarly, AB underscore CD is allowed. So that means this is B is equal to 0x ABCD. Only for the purpose of reading, we have added underscore. Remember, between two digits, only one underscore is allowed. If you try to put A underscore B, that is error. You cannot put two underscores simultaneously. Only one underscore in conjunction in sequence is allowed. Similarly, here we have placed 0 which is octal number 1 2 3 4 5 6, and if I print enter all, so they will be printed. Now if I modify the code, if you can see on the screen, if I modify the code and if I start putting here 7, and if I start executing it, if I start putting here 8, suppose if I execute it, so what I expect here is an error. Reason being is that 0 says that it is octal number, and in octal number, digits from 0 till 7 they are allowed. So since I have put digit 8 here, 8 is not allowed in octal literal. Literal means the value. So if you are writing integer value and if you are writing in octal base 8, you cannot use digit 8 onwards. So from 0 to 7 you can include, but you cannot write 8. So till 6 till 7 it is okay. So if I put 6 it is okay, 7 it is okay, but you cannot write 8. Similarly, if I put 0b here, 0b now no longer remains 10,000 in decimal, but it became, this is 1 2 4 8 16. So a becomes value 16. So if you look at it, the value of a on printing is 16. I have converted it into binary. But now here in binary also, if you start putting 10002, that I expect an error. Reason being is 2 is the digit which is not allowed in binary number system. In binary, there are only two digits, 0 and 1. So whenever you have to write a binary integer value, literal value, so you have to work with digits 0 and 1 only. So I hope you remember these rules about writing integer literals. They must have at least one digit. They should not have any decimal point. They can be either positive, negative. If there is no sign, they are positive. They cannot have sign L, which is suffixed. In Python 2, suffix L is allowed, but in Python 3, it is not allowed. Or 0 with Python 2. In Python 3.6, underscores they are allowed in versions later than Python 3.6, and they are just used as separators. They are only for convenience of the reading, have no other meaning. So the next type is Boolean type, which is a subtype of class int. They are treated as integers. Subclass, it is subclass, it is not a separate type. So Boolean, there are two constants, one is true and one is false. Remember, look at the case. T is capital and F is capital. So they are the reserved words, they are the keywords. You cannot write T in lowercase, you cannot write F in lowercase. So the true is treated as integer value 1 and false is treated as integer value 0. And if you have integers, all values which are non-zero, they are treated as true, and all values which are on the value 0 is treated as false. So if I look at this code cell, A is given true. So A is true, and if you type it, print it, you will get true and you will get class Boolean. which is Boolean class. Boolean is a subclass of class integer. That means class Boolean is derived from class integer. You will look at it later. If I start adding a plus a is having value true, b is having value true, but true internally is treated as value 1. So if I start adding it, true plus true, that means what I am doing is 1 plus 1. So I am expecting b to get value 2, and if I print it, so b will have value 2. So if I add false to it, so false is having value 0, so I am expecting 1 in that case. So Boolean is subclass of integer. Sometimes if you want to work with conditions, you use true and false. So the next numeric type is the floating point numbers. As you know, floating point numbers are the numbers which are having either the decimal values or which are having exponent forms. So they are written in two different ways, either in point form or in exponent form. So if you have to write a floating point number in point form, then the floating point literal must have at least one digit. One digit should be there at least. And there must be a decimal point. If there is no decimal point, then it becomes the integer literal constant. So there must be a decimal point. It can be either at the leading position or it can be at the trailing position. For example, 2 point is valid. It means 2.0. Or 0.2 is valid. It means 0.2. So they are valid floating point numbers. They can be either positive or negative. If there is no sign, it is assumed to be positive. No special character except underscore is allowed. Underscore is also treated as a separator only for the reading purpose, only for the convenience of the user, but internally it does not have any meaning. So 12.20 is not a valid floating point number due to the occurrence of space in it. After 2 and between the digit, there is a space, so that is not allowed. And these are valid floating point numbers like 1 underscore 2, 0.5 underscore 2 underscore 3, it is valid and is equivalent to 12.523. The underscore is only for convenience of reader. Internally, it will be ignored and it will be 12.523. So the second form of writing our floating point numbers is in exponent form. If you are writing a floating point number in exponent form, then it has two parts. One is the mantissa part and the exponent part. And both the parts, mantissa part and exponent part, they are separated by either small e or capital E, which stands for the exponent. Okay. Now the mantissa part, which is the number value, can be either negative or positive. By default, it is positive, and it should have at least one digit. It should have at least one digit. Okay. So there is no constraint about the decimal point in it. Okay. The mantissa part can have a decimal point or it may not have. So if it is having decimal point, it is okay. But even if it is not having any decimal point, it is fine. But if you are writing a floating point number in point form, there is a constraint. The number must have a decimal point. But in exponent form, if you are writing 2 exponent 10, it automatically means 2.0 exponent 10. So that there is no issue about it. Exponent point part can have at least one digit, must have either positive or negative. By default, it is positive, but it must not have any decimal point in it. Okay. And underscores, they are also allowed in this form also, and they are for reading purposes. So the following floating point numbers in exponent form are valid. Minus 2.5 exponent 12, this means minus 2.5 into 10 raised to power 12. Or minus 2 underscore 1.5 underscore 1 exponent minus 1 underscore 2, it means minus 21.51 exponent minus 12. So that is also allowed. Okay, so if you write it like this, so b is equal to 0.2 E10. What is the form in which I have written the floating point number? It is exponent form because E is there, exponent form. So this is Mantissa point. 0.2 is the Mantissa part. Mantissa part can have at least one digit, so one digit is there. It can have a decimal point. It may not have a decimal point. If it is having a decimal point, it can come at the leading place or it can come at the trailing place, no issue. So here 0.2 is at the leading place. So it means 0.2 exponent 10. And once I print and type, if I have seen, so this is equal to 2 in 0.2 into 10 raised to the power 10 or 2 raised to the power 10 raised to the power 9. So if you look at the zeros, you can compare the zeros, number of zeros, and the type is floating point type. So float is stored internally stored as a double number. Okay, so this is about floating point numbers. The third numeric type which is allowed in Python, which is not there in other languages like C, is complex number. Complex number. So complex number can have two parts. Real part, which is optional, but it must have a mandatory imaginary part. Okay, so complex number, as you know, the number like 1 plus 2 iota. Okay, so that is a complex number. We can also write that complex number in Python. It has two parts, real part and imaginary part. The real part is not mandatory, but for making a complex number, imaginary part has to be there. Has to be there. So the real part can be any integer literal constant or floating point literal constant. You can write any. Internally, it will be stored as floating point literal constant. Similarly, imaginary part can be any integer literal or floating point literal with prefix or suffix as j, suffix as j, small j or capital J. Okay, and both of them can be joined either with plus sign or minus sign. For example, c is equal to 2 plus 3j is a valid complex number. Valid complex number. So if I run it, it says 2.3j class is complex. Its type is complex number. I can also write it as 3j plus 2. That does not matter. That does not matter whether you write imaginary part first or whether you write real part first is immaterial. So if you write 3j plus 2, it is also one and same thing. It becomes a complex number. When you print it, it will automatically print it as real plus imaginary. Okay. So you can also write like this. But can you tell me that if I write d is equal to 2, can everybody type in the type box that will be the output of this print d and type d? Will it be a complex number? Just quickly type in the chat box. I'll look at the few replies from you. When I write d is equal to 2, will it become a complex number? It will not. Rightly said, it will not become a complex number. It will become integer. For it to become a complex number, it must have an imaginary part. Complex number must have imaginary part. Since in this number we do not have imaginary part, it will not become a complex number. Now quickly tell me how to make it a complex number. So I must write, look at the output first. It is 2, class is integer. So how to make it a complex number? Plus 0j. 0 is the imaginary part. So if I write it, so it is 2 plus 0. Now complex. Or you can either add it or you can also subtract it. You can also write 0, 2 minus 0j. Okay. Okay. So now you can tell me that if I write 2j, will it become a complex number? Will it become a complex number? Will d is equal to 2j a complex number? Yes. Yes. D equal to 2j is a complex number because mandatory part is the imaginary part. Real part is not mandatory. If you even don't write, then it will become complex number. Okay. Also, tell me that if I start writing D is equal to J2, is it right? Can I prefix J instead of suffixing it to a number? No. So if I print it, I start getting error. So just look at point number 2. Imaginary part can be formed by suffixing an integer literal with J or capital J. Very important to note the word suffix. The word suffix. Very important to note the word suffix. You cannot prefix J like here. What I have done is I have prefixed J to the digit 2 in an attempt to make it complex number, but this is not valid. This will give you error. So you can write 0 plus 2j. Okay, so this becomes complex number. You can only write 2j, it will become a complex number, but you can write j2, it will not become a complex number, it will give you an error. So it has to be 2j. Now once you have made a complex number 2 plus 3j or 2j, you can check what is its real part and what is its imaginary part. You can check that by checking its attributes. So complex number has two attributes. One is real, what is imaginary. And if you want to refer to the attribute, you have to use attribute reference operator, which is dot, which you will come to know about later. But for the time being, just remember that the literal, the identifier which refers to the complex number can be used to refer to the real and imaginary part. So you can write c dot real, c dot imaginary, and it will give the values. Separator you can remove for the time being. If you run it, so it gives 2.0, 3.0 for c. If you write d here and d dot imaginary, if I execute this code now in the cell 41, if I execute it, tell me what will be the output quickly in the chat box. The D is formed here, 2j, D is 2j. So the real part that I expect is 0. It is not having any real part. It is not having real part. The complex, the imaginary part is 2. If I run it, so I will get 0.0 and 2. Remember, the real part and imaginary part are always stored internally as floating point number. Although here I have given 2, internally it will always be stored as floating point number. So if you look at it, point number 4, irrespective of whether real parts and imaginary parts are integer or floating point literal, they are always stored internally as floating point numbers. Look at point number 4. Look at point number 4. So I hope this point is clear to you why we are getting 0.0 and 2.0. That is because of point number 4. Irrespective of whether real is given as integer or literal, they are internally always stored as floating point literal. So when you print it, you will get 2 and 0 and 2. Now previously, if you look at, I have also used one of the option of the print. Here I am getting 0.0, 2.0. I want to separate them with comma. So what I can use is I can use separator option in the printf function. And now I have written that you print the value of real part of the number D and imaginary part of number D, and you separate them with comma. So if I do that, so you will expect this comma to be here. You will expect this comma to be here. So this separator comma has placed this comma here. And you need not only write separator as comma, you can write any string here. So if I write pipe, so you will get pipe here. If I write AB here, so within 0.0 and 2.0, you will get AB here. So separator is the option whatever is the string that you will give, that separator string will come between the values that you print with the help of print function. Am I clear? Am I clear in my saying what I want to convey? The separator part, the real part, and the imaginary part, and they are being stored as floating point number. So this is the numeric type. So what we have discussed in our numeric type is that in Python, there are 3 numeric types available now. In Python, there are 3 numeric types. So one is numeric types. Now there are 3 types. One is integers, one is floating point numbers, and third is complex, which is not available in C but is added into the Python. And there is one type which is bool, which is subtype of integer type. In Python 2, there was one more type which is long integer, which is not there in Python 3. It was in Python 2, not there in Python 3. So let's look at the another type now, which is known as sequences. So the second type in Python is sequences, and sequence is finite. Remember, it is finite, must be finite. Number is countable. The elements in the sequence is countable. Ordered, there is a unique ordering on it. Collection of items which is indexed by non-negative numbers. Very important point. The first point, a sequence represents a finite order collection of items indexed by non-negative numbers. And the following sequences are available in Python: strings, lists, tuples, range, bytes, and byte arrays. Okay. Now some of the sequences are mutable and some of the sequences are immutable. So out of all these, mutable sequences are only list. List is the mutable type. Okay. Strings, they are immutable. Tuples immutable, bytes immutable, and range immutable. List is mutable. You can change the elements of object of list type. But for strings, tuples, bytes, range, you cannot. So we are going to discuss very important type, which is string. So string is sequence of characters enclosed within matching pair of single quotes and double quotes. So this is very important. This is very important. So what do you have? What do you have? So you have to write either 1 or 3 single quotes or double quotes. So the following strings are valid. This is string written within single quotes. Okay. 1 single quote pair it is written. Here string is written within 3 single quotes. So here string is written within 1 double quote. Here string is written within 3 double quotes. So you can either use 1 or you can either use 3. Okay. So you can either use 1 or you can either use 3. You can use single quotes or you can use double quotes. So if I look at it, so this is, I've used 1 double quote ABC. This is valid. This is valid string. I have used 1 double quote. I've used 1 double quote. I can also use 1 single quote. 1 single quote. This is valid. So ABC written within pair of single quotes. I can use 3. I can use 3. So if I use 1, 2, 3 and between that I write ABC, this is also valid. But I will not be able to write, if you look at it, this is not valid. 2 double quotes terminated a string with 2 double quotes. This is not valid. So 1 or 3 single quotes or double quote characters are allowed. Okay. So if you are using single quotes, the string is called single quoted string. And if you are using double quotes, the string is called double quoted string literal. Okay. And within the string literal, you can have you can have single quotes or double quotes also. But if you want to include it, you have to escape it with the escape sequence, that is backslash character. Like here, it's me is a string which is written within single quotes. I want to include this single quote here also. So to include that, I have to write backslash before single quote. So if I execute it, it's right, it's me. Remember, I have included single quote within a single quoted string literal. And to do that, I have to write backslash before it. Backslash before it. If I don't write backslash before it like this, I will start getting error because my string has ended. It started with single quote, it has ended with single quote now, and this left as a not valid string literal. So to include this, you have to put backslash here. Similarly, I can include double quotes in a double quoted string, but if you want to do that, you have to write backslash before it. Okay. There is one more way to write down single quote or double quote within the string without writing backslash character. And that rule is that if you want to include single quote in a string, you write the string as double quoted string. Now look at it. It's me is a double quoted string because it starts with double quotes, it ends with double quotes. So that's why it is a double quoted string. Within double quoted string, I can write down single quote without escaping it with backslash character. Look at it. I have written it's me. It is valid. I have not written backslash character because it is included within double quotes. Similarly, in no, I want to include double quotes. So to do that, I will use opposite type of quote for making it string, and that is single quote. And if you look at it, I will get no here. Am I clear in my saying? If any one of you can say yes or no on the chat box so that I can repeat the concept. Regarding string, what I want to say is that string is sequence of characters. String is sequence of characters which can be enclosed within single quotes or double quotes. You can either use one single quote character or you can use 3 single quote characters. And if you want to use quotes, and if you use quotes within the, if you want to use quotes within the string, you use it as a double different type of that. Okay. Now we have 3 quoted string literal, and that is known as 3 quoted string literal. 3 quoted string literal is used when you want your string to span multiple lines. So like this is a 3 quoted string literal. Okay. There is a different type of notion which is prevalent if you read literature on net. So there is a notation which says that if you want to write multi-line comment in Python, you can do so by writing it within 3 quotes. I want to clarify that that notation is not the correct interpretation of from the Python perspective. If you want to write multi-line comment, there is no provision in Python. Provision only supports single line comment that you can write by starting it with hash. So if I write this hash, this is comment, this is comment. Unlike C language which supports multi-line comments, Python does not support that. If you are reading a literature which says that multi-line comment can be written with the help of 3 quotes, that is a misnomer, that is not correct. So this is a triple quoted string literal which spans multiple line. But yes, if you don't assign it to any identifier, as soon as the string literal is created, because there is no label associated with it, it is garbage collected. So it does not impact you. So if I run it, if I execute this code cell, what I have done is I have created a triple quoted string literal, and this triple quoted string literal spans multiple line. And now if I want to use this double quotes here, and if I run it, so there is uses of double quotes within triple quoted. So I have a question on the chat box which says that, sir, can I include double quotes in triple quoted string literals? That is yes. So it starts with triple quote, ends with triple quote. In between I have used double quoted string. So can I do single quoted? So if you look at it, it is yes. Automatically by default it will be hashed with, if you see. So I hope I am clear to, there is a question on the that can I include single quote and double quote within a triple quoted string literal without plugging it or without using your backslash character? That says yes. Okay. So these are single quoted string literals, double quoted string literals, triple quoted string literals, right? Now, if you prefix the string with R or capital R, it becomes raw string literal, raw string literal. In that case, the escape sequences will be treated as normal characters. So look at it. If I print C colon slash TC slash bin, which is generally the path for the turbo C if you see the binary files. Now this is a single quoted string literal because it is enclosed within single quotes. And slash T is a escape sequence which stands for the tab character, and slash B is a escape sequence which stands for the backspace character. So the output that I am expecting here is CIN. That I tell you how you got this. It says that C is printed, colon is printed, then tab is given, and then another C is printed. So when backspace is given, cursor comes below C. Cursor comes below C because backspace is set. So cursor is moved below C. Then I is printed. So when I is printed, it overwrites C, and then IN is printed. So the output that comes is C colon space IN. Have you got how we get C colon IN? Because backspace has moved the cursor below C, so I overwrites C. So we got this. If you see what is the output of length of this, so length of this comes out to be 7. Why? Because this C is taken as 1 character, colon as 2, tab as 3, C as 4, backspace as 5, I as 6, and N as 7. So slash T slash B are created as 1 character each. Okay, so that's why we got 7. Now what I have done is I have prefixed the string literal with R. So when you do that, it means raw string. It means that raw string literal. So if you execute it, now it will not treat your escape sequence as 8 escape sequence, but as a normal character. So you get CTC bin. And if you run this, so you will get it as 9. So C1 colon 2 backslash 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So there are 9 characters in the string. So what we have done, we have discussed. One is the normal string which can be enclosed within single quotes, which can be enclosed within double quotes. One is the triple quoted string which can be enclosed within 3 quotes, and this is generally used for multi-lines. And one is the raw string. Raw string is any string which is prefixed with R. So this R or capital R says that this is raw string, and if there is any escape sequence available in it, so that will be treated as a normal as escape sequence. So the next thing that you have is Unicode string literal, which is not available in other languages, but Python's post Unicode characters, as I already told you. So this is Unicode string literal. Now if I print this, this is the Unicode character. This is the Unicode character, and if you print it, so this will say Namaste. Okay, so these characters you can see from Unicode tables. So Unicode tables, if you Google on, if you Google Unicode characters, okay, Unicode character, if I search for that, like this is the character table I have. Okay, if I run it, so this is the character table. If I look at it, I can search any of this. Say I put Devanagari. Okay, and if I look for N, so this is N. Look for N. The character code is U0928. This is N 0928. So similarly, here what I have used is 0928. So this prints N. Similarly, if you look for M, somewhere it is. This is 092E. Here it is, Ma. So the code is 092E. Okay. So I have written 092. This way you can get the Unicode characters from some table, and whatever you want to print, you can use those Unicode characters, Unicode codes here. And once you execute it, it will print this. So the third thing that we got is the Unicode string, the normal string, raw string, and the Unicode string. And then we have another string literal, which is formatted string literal, in which you can replace the values at the runtime as Ajay Mittal. And this is my formatted string prefixed with F. So formatted string is prefixed with F. I have written the name. What I have said is you write this name within field of 20 sizes, field size. Within 20 cells you write it, and you align. This caret is for the center alignment. You align the string within the center, and whatever is left, you plug it with the star. So if I run it, you see that my name is this part, and this is a 20 size field. Emitter is center line, and whatever is left is plugged with stars. So if you read the number of, count the number of characters, they are 11. So 4 stars here and 5 stars here, because Ajay Mittal is to be fit into the center. So this is formatted string literal. So just to conclude about the string literal, so we can have normal string, triple quoted. So we have triple quoted string, we have raw string, you prefix with R or small r. You have Unicode string, and you have formatted string. Formatted string is you put F, and formatted string have the replacement field where you can have the identifier names which can be formatted accordingly. We will look at formatted strings while we print our formatted outputs. So is there any clarification regarding the string literal which is required to anyone? You just type on your chat box, so I'll look at it. So the next type of sequence is tuples. So tuple is immutable sequence. tuple is an immutable sequence, immutable collection. You cannot change the elements of tuple after its creation. So tuple, empty tuple is created with empty pair of parentheses. If you just write square parentheses, it becomes empty tuple. One element tuple, which is also known as singleton. You can write singleton by just writing or just affixing comma to the expression. So if I write 2 comma, it becomes a tuple, it becomes a singleton, and A becomes a tuple with having value 2 only. So if I print it, so this is 2 comma is singleton. So this is a tuple with only 2, right? So if you want to create more, say 2 comma 3 comma 4, so you can have multiple items in your tuple. So there is no requirement to put within parentheses. But even if you put it within parentheses, it becomes a tuple. So the expressions which are separated with commas, when they are assigned to an identifier, they become a tuple object. There is no requirement. They can optionally be enclosed within parentheses. They need not be of the same type. They can be of multiple types, like here. And they are expressions, they will be evaluated before your tuple is created. Like this becomes 5. 1 plus 2j is complex. 2.3 into 2.1 is computed, and then it becomes tuple. Look at it. So this becomes 5. Computation done before becoming tuple. So this is complex number, and this is 4.83, and that becomes a tuple. Okay. So this is a tuple type. So if you want to access element, so below cell, it. So if I print what is B0, what is B0? Says 5. So B is the tuple. To access the element of tuple, I have to index it, because if you remember, the sequences, they are indexed with non-negative integers. Here it is. Here I have written sequences, they are indexed with non-negative integers, and if you want to refer to the items, you can use the subscript operator, give the index number, get the element. So here, if we have written what is B0, it says what is the first element of the tuple B, so that says 5. What is the second element of the tuple B? So it says 1 plus 2j. So you can refer to the elements by indexing them, and you can use subscript operator for that, which is these square brackets. We will see at it later on. So the next type is bytes, which is used for storage of 8-bit byte values. We'll look at it later. They are generally used for storage of large collection of values. Maybe like if I want to store an image, I will store it as a byte type. We'll see it later on. The next sequence is range type, which is previously range was a function, but in the recent versions of Python, it is added as a type. So range type is generally used for, it is sequence of numbers generally used with for statement. There is no range literal available. You cannot write it as a literal constant, but you can use constructor for creating it. So when you want to create a range type, so you have to use it in 3 different ways. You can use it in 3 different ways: range stop, range start stop, range start stop, and step. So if I write A is equal to range stop, say 6, so it will create range of numbers starting from 0 till stop -1. So I will get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So A will get values 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I print values of A, it says range 0 to 6. It is stored in a compact form. Okay. If I want to print actual values in this, if I want to see what it contains actually, what I can do is I can unpack this range, and I can unpack by using this unpack operator, which is star. So if I print it now, This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you use range stop, only one value if you give, that will be treated as stop value. So this 6 is your stop value. So if you give only one value, that is treated as stop value, and the numbers from 0 till stop minus 1 will be created. The sequence is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you can modify it. You can give another value, two values if you give. So one will be treated as start, another will be treated as stop. So from 3 till 6 minus 1, it will create the sequence. So 3, 4, and 5 I am expecting out of this. So 3, 4, and 5 is the output. So if you give a value which is start is more than stop, if I give 7, 6, so it will create empty range. It will create empty range. So if you look at it, you are not going to get anything if your start is greater than stop. So your start must be smaller than stop, like 0 till 16 I want to create. Till 16 I want to create, and like this. So if you get two numbers, one is treated as start, another is created as stop. If you start giving third number also, that will be treated as step. How many jumps you want to create between the numbers? So I said 3. So 2 will be created, then there will be a jump of 2, then it goes to 5, then there is a jump of 3, it goes to 8, then there is a jump of 3, it goes to 11, then there is a jump of 3, it goes to 14. Now because it has to stop at 15, maximum it can generate till 15. So there will be no other number that will be created, because next number, which is 17, is more than 15. So it will not create that. So it will stop. Okay. Similarly, your step can be negative. Your step can be negative, and you can do that in reverse direction also. So starting from 20 till 17, step minus 1, you can create the sequence. You can create the sequence. Am I clear in specifying what range means? Range is a sequence of numbers, and you can create by a constructor. There is no literal available. So there are three different ways. So start, stop. Sir, what if start and stop numbers are equal? If start and stop numbers are equal, you are going to create, you can check, you are going to get, because it starts from start, it stops at number minus 1. So I am expecting starting from 2 till 1, it is going to generate empty range. So it is not going to do that, because it is generating till 1. But since you are already starting from 2, you cannot reach till 1, because you have already surpassed 2. So if you do that, you will get empty range. So there was a question by Shreya which says that, sir, what if start and stop numbers are equal? You are going to give empty range. Aman has already answered it. You are going to get empty range. Any other query regarding range on the group? Do it. If anybody has it, kindly post it quickly. Then we will start with our next. Another thing that I want to forget. So I already told you star, this star, I hope you remember this. This is for unpacking. So if you put range A to 20, otherwise if you don't make this A, so you are going to get range. But if you want to look at the number, unpack the range, and unpacking can be done by using star. So star operator is there, which is the unpack operator, and that prints the range. Another important point why range is beneficial is that range uses very less size. And irrespective of the size of the range, in the number of elements in the range, you are going to get the same size. So I have created a range 0 to 10 and 0 to 1000, and I just want to demonstrate that they are going to use the same size. So range of 0 to 10 and 0 to 1000, they are using same size, and their size is different and smaller than that of tuple and list. Look at the tuple that I have created. So the size of the tuple of 0 to 10 is 60, and size of tuple of 0 to 1000 is 4020, which is far more than range. So there is another advantage of range. Range takes size which is smaller than integer, than tuples and list. Look at it. So it took 24, it took 60 and 68. It took 24, it took 40, 20, 40, 28. So range take lesser size as compared to tuple and list. Number two, the size of the range does not depend upon the number of elements in the range. So range of 0 to 10 is going to take same size as 0 to 1000. But in tuple and list, that does not happen. As you have already seen in the execution of the code, the size changed from 60 to 4020 and size changed from 68 to 4028. Am I clear? Am I clear? If anybody of you can post on the chat box. Okay. So next is the mutable sequences. We have only one mutable sequence, that is list. List is a mutable sequence. Like tuple is created with empty parentheses, similarly list is created with square brackets. So whatever you have, the expressions within square brackets, that creates list. So you can have comma separated expressions within square brackets to create a list. So if I do that, so it is evaluated, becomes 9 because it is within square brackets, so this becomes list. Similarly here I have created a list. So this is complex number, this is string, this is a tuple, and this is another list. So in my list I have complex number, string, a tuple, and a list. So if I do that, so that becomes list. Okay. So similarly, there is the indexing, you can do it in same way. So if you want to index, you can say I want to print what is B012. Say I want to print B2. So if I want to print the third element of the list with the index 2, because this is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2. So this becomes 2, 3, which is the tuple. Okay. Now we have another type, which is the set type. Okay, which is the other type, which is the set type. So we have discussed numeric types. Numeric, you have discussed numeric. You know, numeric is your int, your float, your complex. Then we have discussed sequences. Sequences, there are two types, mutable and immutable. In mutable, we have discussed list. In immutable, we have discussed string, tuple, byte, range. So we have discussed this. Two types we have already covered. Now third type is set. There are two types. One is set and one is frozen set. So set further has two types, sets and frozen sets. So let's look at the third type, which is set. So like they are ordered collection, similarly sets are unordered collection. Very important difference between sequences and sets is regarding the ordering. So sequences, they are ordered collection, sets, they are unordered collections. Both of them are finite collections. Set is unordered collection of immutable objects, unique immutable objects. I'll tell you what this word unique means, what this immutable means. So set is unordered finite collection of unique immutable objects. They are not indexed. They are not indexed. Okay. So look at this set. I want to create B1, 1.0 and true. One, 1.0 and true. It compare all three values. One is value 1, floating point is again value 1, true is also taken as value 1. So uniqueness means this is only one, whether it is written in three different ways, but it means one. So to be, when you execute it, you are going to get only value 1. If you have written as 2 and 3, now they are different values, so it will be 2 and 3 added to it, but unique values are added. They must be immutable. they must be immutable. If I start adding list which is of mutable type to it, it starts giving you error. It starts giving you error because it says that the element of set must be immutable. So am I ordered in my specification regarding the set? It is unordered collection. Order does not matter whether you write 1 to 3, whether you write 3 to 1, does not matter. It is finite. The number must be countable, must be unique. Whether you write 1, 1.02, it means 1. It must be immutable. You cannot write list 2, 3 into it and object. So set is comma separated list, put it within curly brackets. Curly brackets. Result of the evaluation will be there. They must be immutable. They must be unique type. So this creates set of. This gives you error because these are mutable elements in the set. You cannot do that. And this is 1. Like sets, they are mutable. Set is a mutable type. Frozen set is an immutable counterpart of that. Frozen set is immutable counterpart of that. So frozen set, there is no literal constant available. You can use the constructor and you can print it. So frozen set is like this. Okay. If you print the elements of the frozen set, if you want to print elements of the frozen set, the same syntax you have to use, unpack it and print it. So look at it. Look at it now. ABC is the ordering, but the set has printed CBA. So it is unordered. It does not matter how you write it. The only thing that matters is the frozen set has only 3 elements, A, B, and C. Does not matter how they order. The next type that we are going to discuss is the mapping, the last type that we are going to discuss for today. And mapping is only one type is available, that is dictionary. So there are key value pairs, key value pairs. So this is the key, this is the value, this is the key, this is the value. So dictionary is enclosed within curly brackets. Like tuples are enclosed within circular bracket, parenthesis, list within square brackets, set within curly brackets. Similarly, dictionary within curly brackets, and keys must be unique. So name, nickname, and age, these are the keys. They must be unique. Values can be replicated. Values, there is no uniqueness about it. And then you can print, and then you can print it, and you can refer to by name. So I think that let's stop here. Time has already crossed. So, but today we have covered with the basic installation. I hope all of you have done it, and we have discussed the types. Tomorrow we will do few programs on it, and then we will discuss about how to start with the expression construction and all those things. So Dr. Aman, I am almost done with today's session.
Okay.
So if there are any queries, I'll be happy to address, or if you want to get it collected from the students, so we can address tomorrow morning.
Okay.
I'm also with that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any question from participant side?
Okay.
Students, if you have any question, you can ask.
You can ask, or you can put in chat box.
Yeah. Sir, anything they have to do till tomorrow, means any requirement? Like tomorrow you will.
So yeah, Dr. Aman.
Tomorrow they need their laptop with some installation for practical purpose.
I think they must have done Jupyter installation done.
Yeah, majority, yes, sir. Majority is done.
Okay. So they can simultaneously, we can share the Jupyter notebooks. They can simultaneously execute that.
Okay.
There is a response on the chat box. One with same UE 193110. No. Any problem with this installation, Suk? There is a student named Suk UE 193110 saying no.
Any issue with the installation, participants?
So there is a specific. I think most of them have done it.
No,
Can these slides be shared? Actually, we will share with you, but we will share with you the custom content. this content is a separate content. We will share with you custom notebook. Yeah, you have to execute those codes in that notebook. I will share with you. I will share with you the content, the customly designed content.
So they are asking to share this
Ankit Vadva is saying that please share the installation of Jupyter. I'm going to do that. Jupyter notebook installation.
So that we will cover tomorrow morning. Installation.
Which one?
That you have told that.
No,
yet that you have.
No, I have done that in
this session.
Today we have done that.
Okay.
Ankit Vadva, please share the steps again how to install. I have already done that. Ankit Vadva, in the chat box I have given the message, and I do not. Sir, is the whole lecture recorded? I have to check with the moderator. Dr. Aman, have you recorded it?
Yes. Each and every lecture will be recorded.
Kushagra Sharma, sir, is the whole lecture recorded? Yes, the lecture has been recorded, and I think the recordings will be shared with you.
Yeah, sure.
Shreya, I have installed Spider through Anaconda. Is it okay? Or do I have to? Shreya, it's okay if you have installed Spider with Anaconda, or if you just installed Python and idle, and if you are able to run the code, we are okay with it. There is no such thing that you have to just install Jupyter and to execute the things. We only want that you try with the code and you run the code. So Shreya, we are okay with it. Manan says, sir, if we use curly brackets, that will be declaring empty set or empty dictionary. So Manan, if you use empty brackets only, empty dictionary will be created. It will not be empty set. Creation of, if you can try also, Manan, it creates empty dictionary, not empty set. So Aman, is the frozen set in 3, it is in reverse order or shuffled one? I think it is in shuffled one. You can try and also search online. Aman, regarding the frozen sets, the order, because sets are unordered collections, so it is in shuffled order. I don't think there is reverse ordering applicable on set type. So this is shuffled, unordered collection. Basically, we do not say shuffle, but we say it is unordered. Ordering is not there applicable. Ordering is not applicable on set type. Khushi Garg, it was a great. Okay, thank you, Khushi. So I think that none other query is coming. So let's meet. What is Dr. Aman? What is the time for tomorrow morning?
So we will start by 10. 10 to 11:30 for session. Then we will have a break for 1 hour. Then the next session we will start at 2:30 to 2 o'clock.
Okay. Then it's all from my side for today. If there is no other query and if there is nothing, then we can leave the session now.
Thank you very much, sir. So there is an announcement for the participant. I again told you that please join with your original names when you are joining the meetings. Otherwise, you will be marked absent, and I will just dismiss the anonymous entries like caller 012 is here, Corona was there, so I just throw that out from the meeting. So kindly take care from the next sessions, and also at the end of every day, one quiz in the Google Classroom. Today we will also share one quiz to all the participants in the Google Classroom. So you have to attempt that quiz, that assignment, and have to submit through the Google Classroom. All the instructions will be posted in the Google Classroom, how to do that, and what should be the timing. Is it okay with all the Then
I have a doubt. I'm not getting emails about any session.
Okay, I will. Your good name?
Siddharth Jain.
You posted the message to me. I will cross check that.
Yeah.
Then it's all about for today. Then we will meet tomorrow.
Sir, is there any project after the completion of this
Obviously,
Yeah, Jaideep, yeah, that your organizers will tell you.
yeah. Obviously, we
Okay.
will give you some problems, project-based problems, after some days. So just start doing like when we have few sessions, we will start giving you some project problems. Is anything else? So it's all about for today's session. And please check your Google Classroom. We will post the quiz by 3 o'clock, and you have to submit the that quiz on the same day. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, students.
Thank you, Dr. Ajay, for such a nice and interactive lecture. You explained all the concepts very well. Thank you very much for today's lecture.
Thank you, ma'am. So, Dr. Ajay has left.
Acha, okay, fine.
Okay, okay, ji. Okay, thank you.